You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. Get ready to go on an adventure with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. Manitoba Mosaic, a 4-season musical adventure, premieres online today. And to tell us more about it, we've reached new-Manitoban, RBC Assistant Conductor Naomi Woo, and lifelong Manitoban Brent Johnson, WSO Education, Systema, and Community Engagement Manager. Hello, all.
Hello.
It's great to see you both. Naomi, let me start with you. It's been about a year and a half since you arrived in Winnipeg to begin your tenure with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra as RBC Assistant Conductor. As a relative newcomer to the province, I'm curious, have you noticed that a lot of conversations have been about the weather?
Well, definitely coming from having grown up in Vancouver, I had a lot to learn about the seasons here, from the blustery snow that comes when you least expect it to the very hot summers, both of which I've really come to love.
Well, I mean, it really is a thing, isn't it? Where we like to talk about the weather, like you say, such extremes with that bone-chilling cold that pops up every now and again, and then that scorching heat, the clear blue skies, the biting, if not controversial, wind chill. You've experienced all 4 of those seasons now, and you're going to be taking us on a musical adventure that centers around them. Tell us more about it.
That's right. Well, what I was interested in doing is thinking about ways that music and art can be ways that we learn about the world around us. And for me, of course, that was a really big part when I first moved to Manitoba of how I got to know this wonderful province and all of its wonderful seasons was first by meeting the wonderful musicians of the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, the wonderful musicians where I work at the University of Manitoba, at Systema Winnipeg, and music has been the tool through which I've gotten to know the people and the places and the landscape. So I thought it would be wonderful to really push that exploration further and to collaborate with a whole bunch of artists from across the province and see what I could learn from all of them, and also what our audiences can learn from all of them about how music and art can be a tool for understanding the world.
So before we hear more on that, I want to bring you, Brent, into the conversation. This part of the Adventures in Music program. Tell us about Adventures in Music and the initiative.
Yeah, this is a long-standing tradition at the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. I mean, education in general is a big part of our DNA in the organization. And we work with students of all ages on stage with the orchestra, not during a pandemic, of course, but that's a normal part of the DNA of this program, and student audiences. So in the before times, this would be a week-long series of concerts, 7 or 8 concerts over 4 days. To packed houses of students and teachers and chaperones coming to experience it live. And of course, we've now reimagined this as a virtual program, thanks to support from Safe at Home Manitoba. But it's also opened some doors that wouldn't be possible when we're cranking out 8 concerts over 4 days. We've been able to bring in more guest artists. And thanks to the virtual format, we've been able to bring in some folks who wouldn't have been able to be here in person. Which is really cool, and I'm looking forward to people being able to experience some of those performers that we were able to bring in that way. One specific example is Inuit throat boxer Nelson Taguna, who's coming to us from Baker Lake, Nunavut, and it's just the coolest thing. So you can look forward to that in the winter episode, and so many other great performers and their music.
Well, it sounds absolutely fantastic. And I mean, like you say, just WSO has such a long-standing commitment to musical education for audiences of all ages. And I know that WSO often prepares digital study guides ahead of shows, but you must be thrilled to offer something even more substantial with this help of Safe at Home Manitoba, just kind of furthering that reach, right?
Absolutely. When we present concerts in person, the distance certainly is a barrier for schools and students. I mean, even within the city of Winnipeg, budgets being what they are, there's a cost to busing and substitute teachers, when school groups go on field trips. And this removes all of those barriers in addition to the distance. So, we have a teacher from the PA who comes to our PD workshop every fall and teaches the study guide with her students, and they learn all the music, but they never get to see the concert. And now everybody anywhere across the globe will be able to experience this. And I'm just so excited for that. And I think this is probably going to become part of what we do just as a matter of course going forward. Having a virtual or a live stream offering, and that's been one real benefit of the pandemic, has accelerated that process for the WSO, and it's just opening doors that weren't possible before.
That's just so encouraging to hear.
Mm.
Naomi, we just heard Brent mention Nelson Taguna, the throat boxer who makes an appearance in Winter, which is titled Festivals, Fiddles, and Winter Tires, which are still on my car, thankfully. I'm curious for you, tell us more about the collaborators that you're most excited to work with in this new Manitoba Mosaic project.
Well, of course, the centerpiece is the wonderful musicians of the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, who we were just thrilled to be able to present in a whole number of different formats and configurations. We have brass fanfares featuring our incredible brass section. We have string-only repertoire that features also some soloists, especially Gwen Hobig on some Vivaldi, and Chris Anstey on a fiddle concerto that will be quite delightful. In addition to that, one of the guests that I was really most excited to work with is Wang Xiaonan, who's a wonderful dizi player, not only playing the traditional Chinese bamboo flute, but in fact a version of this Chinese flute that he developed himself, a chromatic version of the dizi, and a really special piece written just for him by the Manitoba composer Jim Hiscott. So that's a very special collaboration, and one that in fact is part of this winter episode. Xiaonan Wang and I bonding over Chinese New Year before he presents this piece to us.
Lots to look forward to in winter. I was looking ahead to spring myself, scrolling through the program, and there's some tabla that also appears in the program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. This is a piece by Danuk Wijeratne, who I was really grateful to meet last year when he was in Winnipeg for the Winnipeg.
It was a game changer. It was such an awe-inspiring. He's just such an awe-inspiring individual.
Just a wonderful human, has a long relationship here with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. And this tabla concerto is a piece that we have in fact done in the past. Isn't that right, Brent?
Yes. Yeah. About 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it must be great to reprise it now and to make it a part of the Manitoba Mosaic. I mean, we here in the province pride ourselves on that sense of multiculturalism. I mean, Folklorama is just such a great example of that. So why not embrace the music and take us on a little adventure around our very big province, but keeping us connected through the magic of the internet, and making sure that students of all ages are exploring this option. Now, Brent, I do want to ask you, it seems mighty convenient to me that this is premiering while students are on spring break. Was that also by design?
Yes and no. I mean, for teachers, obviously, this is a little less than ideal, and but the good news is the entire program will be available through June 30th. So folks can engage with it now. They can engage with it a month from now, all the way to the end of the school year. And with music education being so widely diverse this year, depending on each school's situation, thanks to COVID, that flexibility, I think, will be appreciated as well. But we did want to put it out there for families to enjoy over spring break if they're looking for options, because the weather outside is not so delightful, and they'll have an option that they can engage with from their couch, and probably the students will get to enjoy it at school with their teachers as well.
Well, Brent and Naomi, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about this wonderful new adventure courtesy of the WSO. It most certainly sounds like a great initiative.
Thank you so much.
The webisodes and study guide being provided completely free of charge, I should mention. Launched today, Wednesday, March 31st, 1 p.m. You have to pre-register, though as you heard Brent mention, they will remain live through June. You can find more details up at wso.ca. Manitoba Mosaic, a 4-season musical adventure.